guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This my guy sounds like he's in his mid-30s, he is a Marine, and he shares his story how he, like many foolish young guys after that joined the service, got married too young and to the wrong girl. And you're going to see he made lots of mistakes as so many young guys do, or guys of any age. But eventually, enough is enough when she asked for a way for an open relationship, and he finally kicks her to the curb. And then you're going to see he goes through some things in life to eventually have a very happy ending where he's doing great and obviously her not so much. That'll be a great story to go over here, guys. One, entertaining, but two, to show you. As a reminder, you're in the military, don't get married. Wait till you get out. I get you're going to get more money. I get you're going to get a better house. I get all that is not worth it because a lot of times it's just a disaster. And of course, you can't tolerate bullshit. You can't tolerate bullshit in any relationship, let alone marriage, because if you do, it's just going to make you miserable. And when things just are that bad, you got to leave. There's no point in dragging things out because eventually you're going to break up anyway. And how a guy can definitely go through a lot of hard times, but learn from his mistakes, turn things around, and found joy and happiness later on in his life. It can happen, but you got to make it happen. So that'll be a good one to start the weekend off with. He says, "Hello, SSM. I've been checking out your channel for a few years now and figured I would lend you my story with the hope that it could help some poor soul. I apologize if I bounce around a bit in the story. It's over a long time period and some of the details are fuzzy. Bro, every story helps. I guarantee every story that anybody sends in will help someone or certainly entertain someone else. This starts way back in 2008 when I was in high school. I met a gal, let's call her D. D and I hung out in class and eventually I invited her to a party. At the time, I lived at my buddy's house, and we used to have parties practically every night. Not long after we started hanging out, I hit a home run with her. She didn't pop my cherry, but she was my first in a lot of things. So you were living with your buddies when you were still in high school? I mean, were you bad situation growing up, and you were at your friend's house with his family? We stayed together, and once I graduated, I joined the military. I ended up going to boot camp with a friend of mine. Before heading to boot camp, I was convinced to cheat on her with a chick I was introduced to by the same friend that I joined boot camp with. He says, I know, not cool, smack either. Yeah, smack, not cool. But given how the story goes and how she behaves, I want to make sure it is known that I wasn't innocent in all of this. I told her about it and was under the impression that we were over before going to boot camp. Well, at least you told her. While in boot camp, we maintained communication by writing letters. Snail mail in 2009, haha. There was email in 2009. Hell, I mean, the iPhone came out in 2007, so texting was a hell of a lot easier. Back before that, when you had to text somebody, remember that, guys? You had the numbers, and you had to, type. It was way difficult back then. During that time, we made up and decided we were together. 13 weeks goes by, and I graduate boot camp. My family came to see me graduate, along with her mom and my mom, along with her and her mom. Her mom mentioned something along the lines of, "Now that you're a Marine, when are you guys getting married?" Oh, for crying out loud, you're freaking kids. I was solidly blue pill at the time, and I figured life would be good, so why not? Smack! Yeah, you just wanted better housing, that's all. On the drive home from boot camp, about 6 hours, the guy I went to boot camp with texted me and said something along the lines of, "Dude, you're not going to believe this. My buddy said that he banged a chick who had a boyfriend in boot camp." That was weird, I thought. Okay, and I asked, a Marine Corps boot camp, and he just graduated today. Her name was D. That can't be a coincidence. This while D was sitting next to me in the car on the drive home. Rage. All I felt was rage. I confronted her and obviously she denied it. Of course she denied it. But dude, really? Long story short, she convinced me that nothing had happened and he was talking it up. I know, smack, I'm an idiot. Yeah, smack, come on here. This came up over and over again. We eventually got the four of us, boot camp dude, guy who told him the story, and D, all together for a fire. I confronted both of them. So one of you said it happened, the other did not. What's the deal? And they both said nothing ever happened. My gut was telling me it was a lie, but I pushed those feelings aside and pretended it never happened. I bet you're smacking the shit out of me now. I'm tired of smacking you at this point. Yeah, she deserves a lot younger you. Bro, they're lying. I mean, come on here. But you just didn't want to believe it. You know, you were feeling on cloud nine. You had this image in your head and getting married to her and the white picket fence and blah, blah, blah. You're young and dumb, as many guys are. Gentlemen, once a cheater, always a cheater. When there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, come on here. I eventually get through MOS school and to my first unit. For the first 6 months, I was within driving distance of my hometown and was driving back and forth on junior enlisted pay to see her. At the time, this was the majority of my expendable income. And if there is one thing I can teach you about junior enlisted military members, know that when you get married, your income more than doubles because of basic allowance for housing. Yeah, well, that's why a lot of guys do it. That's a big mistake. You know, the saying is, if the military wanted you a wife, they'd issue you one or something like that. Guys, you're in the military, don't get married. Not until you're out. I'm not saying every gal is going to behave like these stories for these military guys, but a hell of a lot do, and you know, and you're fucking kids. I know you're a Marine and you're a tough badass, don't get me wrong, but still, what real life experience did you have back then? Come on here. But that's probably what a lot of other guys did. So like an idiot, I decided this was the perfect reason to get married and went through with it. Smack! We rushed the ceremony and I rushed to get paid and move out of the barracks. In my stupid Lance Corporal mind, this made the most sense. I felt like there was no way to continue a relationship long distance. Definitely the best answer is to get married, right? No, don't do long distance and don't get married in the military. Before I eventually proposed and got married, my second mom, long story, told me she didn't think Dee was right for me and that I shouldn't marry her. There you go. This was my best friend's mom, and she'd known me for about 10 years at this point. Yeah, I figured this was your buddy's mom. Was this the family you lived with? You know, like she was like a second mom to you? Watching me grow up, I knew who I was and who I would be. Like the idiot 18, 19-year-old I was, I ignored her and said I do. So we got married and moved in together. She didn't work and was a stay-at-home wife. What the hell is she going to do all her free time at 19, 20 years old or 19 years old? Really? She's not working? Why can't she get a fucking job? What is she going to do, stay at home and watch freaking Springer all day? Probably. Or something else to keep her entertained. Because there's no kids in the picture. Yet. This was great for the first few months, as she would have lunch ready for me when I drove home. And we even had some fun, quick SEX before I went back to work. If she has nothing else to do, she better have lunch for you at home. You better have a whole steak dinner or something really fancy. Or baked goddamn Alaska or something. God, what else is she going to do with her time? And, of course, some ass. Steak and ass. Every Marine needs that on his lunch break. After a while, however, that could be a chain. Steak and ass. Targeting all the young Marines and military folk out there. You know, you get, obviously it'll be located in Nevada, outside Las Vegas. It's the steak and ass chain, where you get your steak and you go get some ass, some hookers. After a while, however, I felt the financial strain of carrying the relationship financially. I asked her to get a job and she obliged. For 6 months. She eventually got into an argument with her boss and quit. Of course. After a while, I decided that I didn't want to make the drive from out in town to base every day, so we moved on base. While there, around 2012, she got super baby crazy out of nowhere. She was trying to get me to put a baby in her and convince me it was the right thing to do. So I told her we could practice plenty, but until I was a staff NCO, E6 and above, or was at least 25 years old, I didn't want to have children. She wanted to have kids because she didn't want to have to get a job. That's why. And knowing, obviously, if you got kids, I'm assuming you then get more pay. This is all to avoid her having to get a job. I made this up pretty much on the spot, but as I was our only source of income, I didn't think taking on the financial burden of a baby too was the right thing to do. Thank fucking God I felt that way and stuck to my guns on it. I'm forever thankful that I never had a child with this woman. Yes, thank God. However, you were with her for God knows how many years. Many times we got into arguments about her needing to get a job because I was paying for everything and I didn't think the relationship was fair. Even though she was over 21, she didn't have her license either. She's a child. You know, come on here. This is when you got to do some serious laying down the law or it's time for divorce. Because ultimately, you get divorced anyway. She still didn't have her license either. I began feeling I was dragging this woman through life. She didn't work, she didn't know how to drive, so I had to handle all the adult responsibilities while she sat at home, spent money, and did who knows what. Yeah, did who knows what. Around 2013, I was getting close to my time to get out of the military, and for the same reason, I didn't want to have a child with her. I decided I should re-enlist. She had no income and didn't have the guaranteed paycheck waiting for me after military service. Before re-enlisting, I had sent her back to our hometown to prep for a house in the event I decided to get out. Our communication was terrible during that time, and I felt like she was being distant. To her credit, she had acquired a job while she was back home, but the minute I told her I wanted to re-enlist, she decided she didn't want to work anymore. No shit, of course. So I moved to the West Coast, and I checked into a unit that I ended up loving being at. At her request, we got a place that was over an hour away from where I worked. And if you've ever been to Southern California, the traffic is terrible. Yes, it is. Amongst many other things. There are many days that not include a 2-hour drive. I worked 16-plus hour days, sometimes trying while we were doing testing, and I would end up crashing at my coworker's house just so I didn't have to make the drive home while I was so tired. I'd likely fall asleep at the wheel. Eventually, the unit I was with gave me the chance to deploy, and I immediately took it. 16-hour days, 2-hour drives to and from. I mean, bro, again, you should have divorced her. It was a big mistake. I mean, what really kept you with her? Were you deeply in love with her? Come on here. You didn't want to go through the divorce, and you felt humiliated by that? I mean, how many signs are out there that these young guys... Again, guys, I do these stories to, through these guys' mistakes, teach young guys out there not to make the same mistakes. Fast forward around 2015. 2015. Did she get a fucking job yet? We were married for 5 years at this point. While I was deployed, I was busy working at the time, and again, our communication suffered. I had a bad feeling during this time that she was avoiding me or choosing to give me less of her time than was expected of a spouse. She had a job for about a year and just got home from a deployment. I just got home from deployment. Yeah, if you're good at math, that means in 5 years she had a job for about 1.5 years of it. Now let me guess. Your money is the family money, and her money is her money. I got home early and was going to surprise my wife. Nobody was home when I got into the house. She was at work. I found her iPad and figured, let's see what she's been up to while I've been gone. Well, what would make you think that? Clearly you didn't trust her. I get another bad sign here. Expecting it to be art. You weren't expecting to find art on her computer. You were thinking other things, my man. A few minutes of snooping later, I came across a string of messages from a guy I've never seen before. He was saying things like he loved her and wanted to see her. She seemed so standoffish, but wasn't acting like it was unexpected. I set down the iPad and walked over to let my rage subside, as it dawned on me that she was cheating on me with someone while I was away in another country serving mine. I'm sorry, man, but it's a cliche, it's a stereotype. When I decided to pick back up the iPad to read more, the conversation had been deleted. So while she was at work, she had the foresight to remove the evidence. When she got home, I tried to keep a cool head and a happy face on. But she knew something was wrong. Of course she knew. Women aren't stupid. When I brought it up, I asked about her guy. Yet again, she had all the right answers, and I was swindled into believing that she was innocent. Smack! They're good at that, man. They really are. We didn't have great post-deployment SCX or anything like that I expected to come home to. Yet another disappointment in the marriage. And why are you still being married to this succubus? Really? Time moved on, and eventually she quit her job again. Shocker. At this point, it's around 2017. We've been together for 9 years, married for 7, and she has worked for less than 2 years out of that entire time. 7 wonderful years married to her. We had countless arguments about this by this time, and don't get me wrong, SSM, if she wasn't working but was keeping up with the house, cooking me meals every day, and keeping me happy in the bedroom, I'd be fine with all this. However, those 18-hour days I mentioned before have proven not to be the case. I was working 18-hour days, getting home to a dirty house, no food, and a wife who was asking me to help her clean up a bit. Yeah, she read that right, I fucking hated my life. Well, bro, you created your life. Okay, you were the dumbass that married her when you were 18, 19 years old. You were the dumbass that stayed with her when it clear as day. You could see, oh, by the way, after you got out of boot camp, she was cheating on you. You swept that under the rug. And then all those years she was bullshitting and jerking your chain about why she couldn't get a job and dealing with that stress. You allowed it to happen. I'm not letting you get away with that. God, come on. She's an a-hole. I'm not going to deny that. But she had your number, and she was right. Oh, and yeah, the evidence of her cheating again. Take the hit, get the divorce, move on. You can lick your wounds and move on, bro, and be all the wiser. At this point, you're still in your fucking 20s. And I know you know this, but I have to say it anyway. Men need to be constantly smacked verbally or physically to get through their goddamn thick skulls. I know how you all work. I was working 18-hour days, getting home dirty house, blah, blah, blah. I hated my life. I skipped over a lot of semi-significant events while she wanted something. Where she wanted something, I would say no, and eventually we got the thing. A couple examples are a dog and a cat. This is as it is for many people. Was a pattern that I didn't realize I could have controlled. Had I been R-pilled at a younger age, I would have given those animals away and proven to her that if I say no, I mean no. If you were R-pilled back then, you would have married her. You would have done your time in the service, gained your experience, blah, 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 and yeah. I bring that up to say that by now, I was a staff NCO and over the age of 25. She still wanted kids, and I was not on board with the idea still, even though the requirements were met. We moved on to base, so I was closer to work, and my mood improved. Then the message that proved to me that I didn't love my wife anymore came. I'm pregnant, she said. Growing up, I figured when I heard those words, I'd be so happy and ready to have kids. But with her, all I could think about was how, yet again, I was the only income in the house. Even though I told her many times that I wanted a teammate in life and someone who would contribute equally. Dude, one ear out the other. She didn't care. She had your number. She knew darn well you could fight and argue and carry on about her getting a job and contributing or not spending away all your money on bullshit. And she knew there were no repercussions. So why would she, it's like a little kid. If a parent doesn't back up what they say with consequences, the little kid's going to keep pulling bullshit. Same fucking thing. We teach people how to treat us, gentlemen. Never forget that. I didn't see a future where she would be an active mother, and with everything else in life, I would have to be the one to take care of business. I sat her down and told her that I flat out didn't want a child at this point in my life, and she was not on board with going through the pregnancy. Surprisingly, she agreed. Neither of us are religious people, and I know this isn't cool with other people, but we terminated the pregnancy. Ooh, not gonna touch that one. You're gonna get some shit in the comment section. Fast forward a few more years, it's now 2018. We moved from coast to coast to a new unit. I got the opportunity to do a job I always wanted to do while being active duty and took it. I'm away at training and all the way across the country. A little bit of a backstory here. I'm a gamer and I've always been a gamer. I really recently purchased a gaming computer for my wife, and she said she was interested in starting to game and to stream on Twitch to earn an income. Bullshit. How about she get a fucking job and then she can buy that gaming computer? This was a couple months before I went away to training. Over those months, she would stay up late at night, unlike her, and game and stream up till like 3 a.m. What do you really think she's doing? This was super unlike her, but I figured, hey, if she gets into a game and builds a community, that's income, which is what I've been asking for. There were times I'd ask her to come to bed with me, and I got denied. And I sat her down and told her I felt like we weren't being intimate enough. This has been the case for the majority of the marriage at this point. Oh, you weren't getting asked very often. Big surprise. She basically told me that if I want to stay up late, she has to be cool with it, and now it's my turn. Touché. Well, excuse me. Well, back to the part where I go away to training. I'm in a hotel room after class one day, and my wife reaches out to me and tries to convince me that I should, wait for it, have an open marriage. I asked her, why should I do that? It'd be better for us to just divorce, and then we can both fuck the people we want instead of just staying in the sexless marriage that I was a part of. She was 100% not expecting this. Yeah, of course not, because all the other bullshit she's pulled and you stayed around. I don't think she thought I had it in me to drop her ass. She said, well, you seem to need sex more than me, so this way you can get yours with whoever you want, and I could just hang out with other people. Hang out with other people, huh? No, she wants to monkey branch to some other sucker provider because she can tell things are coming to an end. Maybe another sucker provider that makes more money than you because she's still, in her 20s and potentially thinks she can get some dudes. I said to her, so you're telling me that I can F other people and all you want is someone to hang out with? Well, if someone took me to Home Goods and walked around with me, maybe I'd suck their you-know-what. Yeah, cool story, bro. It's time for a divorce. So I told her we're filing when I get back from training. I'm done carrying her through life and getting nothing in return. So that's exactly what I did. Thank the Lord. All these years you put up with all this shit. When ultimately, if you had done that years ago, you would have saved yourself all this turmoil and a lot of money, I might add. And at the end, you ended with you doing the same thing that you could have done years ago. Guys, it gets too bad. Leave, end it, move on. Lick your wounds, cut your losses, and move on. Over the next many months, we moved her back to our hometown and submitted the divorce papers. In the state where we were married, divorces are super easy if you both agree on stuff. She practically begged me to give her money and stuff out of our house because I don't have a job and that I'll need to get a whole house together. This is her saying this. She also convinced me to give her the brand new car that I bought. Per the law, she rated around $10,000 over the course of a few years in spousal support. I made her an agreement that I would put into our divorce paperwork that if she just walked away, she could have the car, everything in the house beside my specific stuff, like my computer, clothes, and that's it, and $10,000 in cash so I don't have to see her anymore. You know what? Under the circumstances, to expedite this process, to end it, never see her again, fine. It could be worth, a lot of you guys would be like, what? You know, seriously, I'm not hearing anything about alimony here. And she'll piss away that $10,000 like that. This is something over the years I look back on and regret. I didn't have to give her nearly half that, but I just wanted to see her walk out of my life. A $25,000 car, $10,000 in cash, and roughly $20,000 in household goods, just so she would leave me in peace. He says SSM, and he says this in giant letters. It was worth it. So we're talking about a $25,000 car, which probably wasn't worth $25,000 at that moment. $10,000 in cash and $20,000 in household goods. So you're looking at $55,000 at purchase value, but obviously it was less than that. To make her go away, and it doesn't sound like anything about alimony. Hey, fine. You'll make it back. She is my physical embodiment of a ball and chain, just holding me back in life. After we divorced, I moved in with a coworker, started eating right, and hitting the gym again hard. Awesome. You're a Marine after all. You are an NCO. God damn it, you need to be in great shape to set an example, right? I got back into great shape, saved tons of money, and my career skyrocketed. Imagine that. This isn't even covering how much my mental health had improved. I moved to yet another unit and got to do a lot more fun stuff at work. Life is good. I started dating another gal and eventually got my heart broken because I was an idiot. No biggie, just more smacks. So you didn't learn anything. Next section, he says, the red pill beginning. Now you're about to learn. I was venting to my best friend's sister, who I grew up with, about how I just can't win with the chicks. She gave me some of the best and funniest advice I ever heard. She said, make a Tinder, put a couple pictures of you, and include some of your shirt off. Put in your profile that you recently gotten out of a serious relationship and just want to hook up. I wasn't expecting this advice from her, but I did it. That same night, I started getting constant matches. Now, you don't take advice from women in all those areas, but sometimes a few of them get a few nuggets of info, right? Cue up the next 6 months or so of me meeting new women, smashing them, and moving on. I made it known from the beginning I wouldn't do a relationship. I just wanted sex, and that's it. That's all you had to do, guys. If you're good looking and you have that attitude, and make it clear, look, this isn't going anywhere. There are plenty of gals out there, whether they're single or not, sadly, and we're like, okay, because you're not going to try to make a relationship out of it. And that's how a lot of married gals or gals in relationships hook up with guys, because they know these guys aren't going to pursue them. It's terrible. This girl, your brother's sister, knows. I learned a lot about what I want in a woman from my past mistakes and what women look for in men from my time banging half the East Coast. You are a Marine in your late 20s, after all. It shouldn't have been hard. During this time, I went to yet another training event where I met Natasha, not her real name. I saw Natasha and thought two things. Damn, she's hot, and damn, she had mad resting bitch face. Over the time I was at training, I got to know her. She was going through a divorce at the time, which I talked to her about and gave her advice. We became friends, how most people do in the military, bonding over trauma. This was right about the time the global pandemic kicked in. We finished the training and went our separate ways. We stayed in touch during the long COVID months where we were both weren't working a lot. He says, thanks crazy rules at the time. Over the course of many months, we became best friends. I wasn't looking for anything than that with her, but it was great to have someone to suffer the global global crisis with. We would chat constantly every day, watch movies together, and even came up with fun drinking games to play while we did so. It was probably the most fun I had just talking to and getting to know someone. So you went through your man whore phase on Tinder and got that out of your system and got to see what really draws those types. At this point, you're like, whatever. Met this chick that you clicked with, you got along with, great, and you didn't see her in that way. It was just someone you got along with and really liked. Fine. Now I say, don't waste your time with women as friends, because usually they're going to bring a lot of drama into your life, and you don't want to be the friend zone. But in this situation, you could easily get laid whenever you wanted, and you obviously liked her. But this was during the pandemic, so it wasn't like you can go on a fucking date, depending on where you lived. Eventually, my dad had a medical crisis, and he needed a place to stay. I ended up flying across the country to get him and bring him to live with me. I let her know everything, and she insisted that I take a couple extra days before moving my dad to hang out with her. Over those several months of talking, we had a few conversations that towed the line of sexual, and she saw me when I got off the plane, and our entire relationship changed. She was still my best friend, but she was also someone that I decided was going to be mine. I kissed her before we got to the car, and her mood went through the roof. We grabbed dinner and started heading to Laguna Beach to spend a few days together. So, okay. Not the usual route of things, but you see, when a guy chooses to keep a girl in the friend zone, that's okay. But when she puts you in the friend zone, then that's different. Don't do that. It is what it is, guys. Because notice that the second you kissed her, boom, she's on. She obviously liked you. That's why she's getting that much attention. That night, we had SX for the first time, and I'm not going to lie to you, SSM, it was great. We spent the next few days hooking up anywhere, everywhere, and anytime we could. Please tell me you wore protection. Dispose your protection. She drove with me to get my dad, a 7-hour drive, and we stopped on the side of the highway multiple times just to get on more SEX in. You hound. We got to my dad's place and spent a few more days together getting him ready for the move. It happened to be on the 4th of July weekend, and we were right next to the river. We got some jet skis and made a day of hooking around in the water. I know this is long-winded. I'm just trying to express how easy and fun life was. So you met a chick that you got to vet for a long time, and you had fun with, and can see that she wasn't psycho, and she really liked you, and all that, and obviously she helps with your dad. And then you took your time. Now you're having fun with her, and you're hooking up, and she's really into you. This is a good place to be. It's supposed to be easy and drama-free. Although there's always going to be a little drama. This is a woman you're dealing with. That was 4 years ago. Since those days, nothing in our relationship has changed. Wonderful. We have a piece of paper from the state saying we're legally bound, kind of a requirement for the military members to stay together. But other than that, she constantly makes me happy. We bought a house together, have lived together for a while now, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. 4 straight years of happiness, SSM. That shit seems unreal for me, and I pinch myself often. Bro, you deserve it. You earned it. You went through hell. But you know what? It took you going through hell to learn what not to do and getting R-pilled, And I might add that this girl obviously knows at this point that probably if she stops behaving in this type of manner or crosses you, you're out of there. No matter how much of a good thing you have with her, guys, it could change like that. So remember, you put you first. Your goals, your ambitions. If she's treating you great, if she's loving and loyal and fun and supportive and always takes care of herself, bedroom action is frequent, all these positive things, great. But there's a difference between matching accordingly and put her on the pedestal and kissing her ass. You start kissing her ass and turning into a mangina, I guarantee you she's going to change real quick. Had to say it. In my first marriage, it felt like every day was a struggle, and going home wasn't a place I could be happy. Now, if I'm having a shit day at work, or if I'm struggling or even failing at something, she's there for me, no strings attached. I can just be human and be myself with her. Well, don't 100% be yourself. You know what I mean by that. I come home to her and she makes it better. I do the same for her. We've had our ups and downs like any relationship, but we always communicate, ding, 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 and work as a team to get through them. That's great. If she can communicate with you and tell you what's on her mind instead of being passive-aggressive or throwing tantrums and shit like that, wonderful. Things that I feel like my previous marriage wouldn't survive are easy. We've suffered loss of family members, shitty work stuff that I cannot get into, and many other things. Not a single one of the things has ever made me feel at risk. I'm at peace, man. Great. But still, keep your eye open. It is the 2020s after all. During those 4 years, I maintained the mindset that I wouldn't let shit slide. And I checked her ass if I ever felt disrespected or mistreated. There you go. See what I tell you. He's saying things have been great, but clearly there's times there's ups and downs as in any relationship. And there's any shit, like she's having a bad day and she snaps you or takes it out on you because her goddamn fingernail broke or something ridiculous like that, you check her ass. And if you're being a dick to her, for whatever reason, you're overreacting, she has a right to check you. And I'm okay with that. These were all minor miscommunications that we talked about, but my immediate response was not allow any horse shit. It says a little backstory on her. She was raised by her grandparents. They got married when they were 18 and stayed together until her grandpa passed almost 60 years later. That's the type of relationship she wants, and that's the type of relationship that she puts in the effort into to attain. I never had a gut feeling that I've been cheated on like with past relationships or that I don't matter. She makes me feel like I'm the most important man in the world, and every day I'm on top of the world. We contribute equally to everything, be it monetary or otherwise. If she needs help with something, I just help her and vice versa. Wonderful. Wonderful, man. I'm happy for you. But still keep your eye out. Since I moved in and eventually got married, she has had to deploy a few times. Oh, she's in the military. Okay. Oh, boy. Well. You really pay attention. Not once did I feel like she was avoiding me or not communicating with me. She had a million opportunities to choose to hang out with other people over me, and without me saying I wanted to spend time with her, she would call me when she got off work, like, I can't wait to get home and watch our show while we video chat. This is just one of the countless things she does to show me that she loves me and it is genuine. I don't know, SSM, I guess what I'm telling you is that I hit the jackpot and found a unicorn. Let's not get carried away, amigo. You certainly found one that behaves like the real good ones in the unicorn, but a unicorn can get transformed into a fire-breathing dragon real quick if you're not careful. So just don't get too carried away. It's only been 4 years. I think about the day I was told I'm pregnant by my ex-wife, and to be honest, I look forward to the day when I heard those words come out of my wife's mouth now. While I wrote this, she was upstairs reading her book. I went upstairs to put her to bed because I'm staying up to game all night, and she let me know her car was unlocked. I gave her a goodnight kiss, went back downstairs and locked her car. Shot her a message saying, I locked your car, by the way, and her response was, you're so good to me. I really do appreciate you. You always make me feel so loved. She makes me feel the same way every day. Great. I'm glad she's appreciative. That was it for my story, SSM. I wanted to send it to you, so you can show other people that you shouldn't take shit and things that make you unhappy in your marriage. I was with my first wife for a total of 11 years, 9 of which we were married. I carried her ass throughout this entire time. I said enough is enough and moved on to eventually find so much happiness. If any of you are listening and are struggling and just unhappy, just fucking leave. He wrote that in giant letters, and he's right. Nothing is worth putting yourself through that and day carrying someone through life. Move on, have fun, just be happy. It's a choice. Choose to do it. Thank you for the work that you do, SSM. It really has helped me over the years. I'm sure it's helping other dudes too. Good luck dealing with Florida man. Yeah, I'm dealing with Florida drivers. That's what I'm dealing with here, and they're all fucking crazy. Anyway, guys, a nice, happy-ish ending, if you will. Yeah, he went through a lot of hell, learned the hard way and everything like that. Even then learned the hard way after he learned the hard way. You heard that. Became a tender man whore and then learned some things. But now he's doing well, and I'm happy for him. But notice, enough was enough. When the open relationship came up, whoosh, that's it. I'm out of here. 9 years he was married to that harpy. They put up with that crap. Don't be this guy. He's wiser now. So, bro, I'm really happy to hear you're doing well. Again, keep watching my channel or other good channels out there, because if you don't keep yourself constantly refreshed, you're going to start to slip. And keep being the same guy that attracted her in the first place, your no-taking bullshit attitude, amongst many other things. And I think you're going to be in a good place. And if you guys have kids one day, I hope that you guys will be happy with your kids. And you can demonstrate to your sons how to be a man, or the daughters the type of man they should be get involved with, that type of thing, and have a good, happy family life. You deserve it. But you got to stay on the ball, because if you don't, that unicorn, again, could turn into a fire-breathing that unicorn can turn to fucking Medusa. So be careful. Alright, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.